pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch. You know your music to my ears when you say, and to the ears of most of the folks watching us now, when you say the debt cap should not be raised. Question, are there enough people on Capitol Hill who agree with you?
I don't think so. I think, Judge, keep fighting for freedom, by the way. I love it. Look, here's the thing. Both of us are libertarians. I'm a libertarian/conservative, and I'll tell you, the Leviathan will continue to eat. The Tyrannosaurus Rex that is the U.S. government is going to continue to eat and continue to grow and continue to spend unless you starve the beast. The only way to shut this off at this point in time is by force. If you don't raise the debt ceiling, the government can't eat anymore. I'll tell you what, let's make some news here. I'll be controversial. The American people today face no greater threat to their liberty, to their freedom, to their welfare, to their well-being than the United States government. It is a threat. There is no threat in the world, no foreign threat, no terrorist threat, no threat greater to them right now than this Leviathan that is stripping them of their freedom, that is becoming Big Brother. The only way to shut this down is to block the borrowing, cut it off.
Well, I agree with everything you've just said, Jack, and I appreciate the force with which you've said it. My goal has been to educate as many Republicans in the House of Representatives to the danger of a federal government that continues to grow, that recognizes no limits on its power, that thinks it can regulate any behavior or tax any event. And as that great liberal Democrat from Boston, Massachusetts, Tip O'Neill once said, money is the mother's milk of politics. If you cut the money off, the politicians will be limited in what they can do.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
What do we do to get those small government Republicans in the House to do what they have to do to see that no raising of the debt limit is approved, whether it comes from the White House's proposal or Speaker Boehner's proposal? Or is this hopeless? Is it just one big government party, and is there no hope?
Sadly, I think it's hopeless. I think you're right on. The real issue is whether the Tea Party is going to stick to its values or vacillate, and I think it's already starting to vacillate. They've got to keep their feet in the ground. Here's what's probably going to happen. It doesn't look like they can reach a deal. On August 2nd, next week, the markets will crash. They'll be down 8 or 10%, whatever will happen. Congress will then come back into session because it will react to everyone looking at their 401ks and having a panic. It'll be just like what happened with TARP 3 years ago. They will then raise the debt limit probably 2 weeks from now. They'll do some type of short-term extension because there will be a massive public panic over the markets coming down. Sadly, that's how it will work out because most people just don't understand the issue. To go deeper with this, Judge, and I know you'll agree with this, the upper 2% basically support the whole country. We accept programs like Medicare and Social Security as part of the social fabric because, we probably need some of this. It's one thing to do that. It's quite another thing to go back to the top 2% like Obama wants to do and say, well, in addition to tolerating these programs, you have to fund shortfalls. You have to handle all this into the future. You are now responsible for maintaining these programs.
All right, but Jack,
which I think is crazy.
Let me suggest to you that it's even worse. The picture is even worse than the one you paint, because these members of Congress, particularly the Democrats, who want to keep Medicare and Social Security exactly where it is, must know that it will not be around for their children and grandchildren at the rate that things are going. If people believe that they are entitled to be taken care of by the government, whether the government is authorized by the Constitution to do it or not, whether the government can afford to do it or not, simply by government borrowing, at some point, this house of cards will collapse, and there will be no Social Security or Medicare.
I think you're exactly right. Right on. That's exactly what's happening. These programs will go away. They're nothing but optical illusions. We're becoming a society of the fat and lazy that want to sit around and watch ESPN and put their feet up on the couch and don't care about freedom and really don't want to understand the issues. That's what Americans are becoming. Ultimately, what we're dealing with are cultural problems rather than political and economic problems. We're Rome, and we're falling from within, and we're decaying and all that. I think it's very obvious.
Why don't the small government Republicans in the House recognize that even John Boehner's plan would add $1 trillion to the debt, with no means or intention to pay that money back?
Well, sadly, what's happening, good question. Sadly, what's happening is what always happens, and that is even the Tea Party conservatives are now being co-opted by the Washington establishment because they need to raise money. They're joining the system. They want to go on the trips. People like John Boehner are coming to them and saying, look, guys, you got to play ball. This is Washington.
Right.
You have your values, but it's time to play ball, boys. And, you know, Boehner's the ultimate ball player. Boehner, I think, has gone too far left. And I think when this is all over in September, he's going to find himself way out here, and he's going to realize he went way too far to the left trying to work this thing out. When he should have just stayed here, he went here. And I think you're going to have instability in the House leadership.
Jack Burkman, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.
When President Obama uses the term, quote, balanced approach, he really means going after people he considers rich.